warm and hot and humid. Okay, welcome to Affordable Housing Matters, a program on local housing issues presented by WFOY on the first Friday of the month, sponsored by the St. John's Housing Partnership and produced in cooperation with the Mike Bonts Public Relations. And Bill Lazar, the Executive Director of St. John's Housing Partnership, is always here. By the way, you can see us on Facebook Live. That's where they are. And today, Mike Bonts is on the mic as well.
We got him too.
Yeah, we tried everything. We had a power failure the other day. We said to the engineer, disable that mic, but Mike is still working. So, gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Morning. How are you? Thanks for
good.
getting us started. Yeah, we were going to have Craig Bartso with us to talk about solar power, but Craig is recuperating from his vacation. And he just does most of it. She took time off, and then you find out all the stuff on your desk. So he's kind of overwhelmed at the moment. He'll be back in August. But Mike and I are going to just talk about essentially energy conservation, some of the weatherization work that the Housing Partnership does. And it's really kind of a lead into talking about solar energy, solar power, because the solar panels that we recently put in are to help us reduce energy consumption. And that's the biggest part about trying to figure out when do you want to put solar powers and not. So Mike and I thought we would just talk about some of the work that the Housing Partnership does with our weatherization program and some of the homes that we built that are energy efficient homes.
The importance of weatherization, talk a little bit about that and how the program came about and the difference it makes in energy conservation.
It really is huge. The weatherization program, it's a federally funded program for low-income households. And the idea behind it is that you really look at a household's energy footprint, and we have very limited funds. It literally gives us only about $7,000 or $8,000 to make that impact. So you've really got to sit and be pretty conscientious about what to do. And essentially the way you start is you basically use a blower door. It's like a large fan that pressurizes the home. You think about blowing up a balloon. You blow up a balloon and you pinch it off, and then you're looking to see if you got any leaks on it, because that's what your air conditioning system. Larry's griping about how hot out it is outside, and all of us are running our ACs. But if you're running your AC and it's cooling the squirrels in the attic, you're wasting money. So the idea behind a blower door is it lets us look for those leaks as the least expensive way to reduce your energy consumption.
So you find those leaks, you find those problems in the insulation or the circulation or the ducts, whatever it might be. So what's the process that St. John's Housing Partnership does to go in and fix those?
Basically, we literally look at how much of a leak it is now. The blower door lets you sort of add all those leaks up and says, on average, the house ought to be this tight. Well, it's not. It's this loose. So how much does it take to make it? And we look for the big ticket items first. Obviously, leaks in the ductwork are really important. You'd be surprised how many times, and whether it's a house or a mobile home, that ductwork can get torn. We've had people work in an attic and literally cut a hole in the ductwork to get a little bit of cold air while they're working up there because it's so hot, and they forget to patch that hole back up. If you ever see dogs sleeping under a mobile home, about half the time you'll find them sleeping under where the ductwork has got a tear in it, and that cold air is making it very comfortable for them. So that's what we look at first is sealing that energy footprint, and then we look at sizing, replacing the air conditioning system. It's not that everybody thinks of weatherization as a program to replace windows, and it's really not, because when you think about the cost of replacing a window, there's got to be some kind of return on your investment, and window replacement generally really to reduce your energy bill.
And you have a staff or crew and do these assessments and they do also
Yep.
the repairs. So what are some of can you think of a couple of examples here lately of homes that have needed weatherization work?
A lot of it, every home's a little bit different, and so the folks that we have that go in and test, they always have a different scope of work, but it always starts with those sort of air infiltration measures, and then we look at things like properly venting the bathroom. There's a big part of energy conservation that's considered improved indoor air quality. The idea being you live, and especially after all the COVID experience that we've all had, you want your indoor air to be as clean and healthy as possible. And so if your ductwork is leaking, if that bath exhaust fan is actually sucking dust into the house from the attic, that could be making you sick, especially someone who's got any kind of respiratory illness. So we look for those sort of things. The bath fans, even kitchen exhaust fans are really important to get the kitchen smell, getting the cooking smell out of the house, keeping that fresh air in there. And so those are the things that we look at, along with, do we need to replace attic insulation? Sometimes, some of the homes we work on occasionally won't have any insulation, the older homes, but some of them will have a little bit, or it's degraded a lot. So there's always a judgment call on what's the cost of putting more insulation in, and do we think it's going to have an impact on the electric bill? That our goal with weatherization, we actually have to take a picture of the utility bill before and 6 months after to show that we had an impact on the utility bill.
So energy efficiency is very important, but there's also a human side, as you mentioned, the quality of the air, and a healthy lifestyle, a healthy home.
Yep.
So that also reduces person's number of trips to the emergency room, the doctor. So it's a far-reaching effect.
That's a big part of sort of the energy conservation effort, and it really ties in with the green building work that we all do that you're really familiar with. But people need a healthy space to live, and when you think about not having the dust and pollen from outside sucked into your house because the weather stripping around the door is bad or anything else, that the blower door essentially mimics the idea of your air conditioning system kicking on and off. When that system kicks on and off, it's like a vacuum. It blows air out of one place, but it's got to suck air from someplace else to get that kind of continuity. So anybody who has health issues, having, filtered clean air is really important. And that's the whole, a lot of the efficiency programs refer to it as improved indoor air quality, IAQ.
And that's very important for your demographic, your audience, your customers, your clients. They are usually elderly, disabled.
Most of our clients, probably 70% of them, are elderly. And anything you can do to sort of improve their indoor air quality, make it a little bit more comfortable for them. We found, you'd be amazed sometimes how important it is to properly size the air conditioning system. Having a system that's too big or too small means that you can't control the humidity in the house. And that's a big part of comfort, is being able to breathe easily, not having too much humidity.
They're giving us the high sign over there about.
I thought that was what he was pointing out.
I'm just, you guys misinterpreted the sign. Yeah, it's
Larry, I come on here for scale. I expect to get some time. Okay.
You know what? We're going to give you some time, but we just want to remind everybody we're broadcasting from the Bozard Ford Lincoln Studios at WFOY. Bozard Ford Lincoln, driven to inspire, and we're talking, of course, affordable housing matters with none other than Bill Lazar, the Executive Director of St. John's Housing Partnership. And this morning, we are also privileged to have Mike Bonts, Public Relations, who is responsible for this program as well. And on that happy note, please stay with us because there's more great information coming up on the St. Johns County Morning News.
All right.
This guy is incorrigible. So one of the comedians on last night, I don't know how much you pay attention, there's a lady named Lindsay Glazer. She's pretty famous. Today she's going to be in New York City performing at one of the clubs. I think Ron Feingold is coming up as the next one. But anyway, so she it's a little bit, it's not family oriented. She's talked about a lot of stuff and everything. And she talks about her heritage as a Russian Jew. And after Hurricane Irma, she was living in Fort Lauderdale. They put her in some kind of a house that belonged to one of the famous basketball players, Scottie Pippen. And now Pippen thinks she's related to a very famous Glazer. So he's suing her for millions of dollars worth of damage from her family occupying. And I just looked at her after the show when I was talking. I said, next time Scottie Pippen comes to you and threatens to sue you, just look at him and say, Don't mess with me. I belong to the Jew Klux Klan. She likes that. I think I'm going to use it.
That's bizarre.
Really? I mean, and plus she's an attorney. She, this is just nighttime. Most of these comedians have other jobs.
You would think.
They get some money, but they don't get time. And anyway.
So they put her in Scottie Pippen's house as temporary housing.
It's a mansion. But it was for rent. Then it turned out that
So the feds rented it or something?
Whoever the organization, but he was renting it. But it turned out he was also claiming it for homestead exemption. So he got in trouble
For renting out his home?
for renting out his home. So it's kind of working both ways.
I had, when I was 1980, so about 22, 23, a friend of mine was a painting contractor in West Palm Beach. He called me up and said, come work for me for the summer. At the time, he said, I'll pay you $15 an hour, which was huge. So I went down there. We were working in these mansions. I mean, we worked on the Palm Beach side of the Intercoastal. I got lost in this one house. I mean, I could not for the life of me figure out how many bedrooms and bathrooms. And we had one guy who showed up. I was stripping the paint off the woodwork in the kitchen. And every morning he comes walking in about 10 o'clock, mixes himself an orange juice, has a little bit of cereal, is on the phone calling around, making his lunch appointment for where he was going to be eating lunch. And then he disappears and he comes back about 2:30 or 3 o'clock and he's calling around making appointments. And I finally asked him, I said, so what do you do? I sell real estate. And at the time I was like, okay, so I don't know what the hell that means. But I was just kind of like, and you live here all by yourself? Well, I'm just keeping an eye on it for the owners because they live in New York, but they occasionally want to come down and they want to make sure that the house is nice and air conditioned and everything else if they want to just jet down in the afternoon.
What a gig, right?
And I was just kind of like, nice. That's nice. I'm sitting here sweating, stripping paint off of it. We had a Pecky cypress ceiling, exposed beam.
Yeah.
Someone had painted it orange and yellow. And so we were literally lying on scaffolding on our backs with that old paint remover that just goop and wire brushes and just stripping it all.
I look at things like that. Every once in a while, some tenant will do something stupid in one of the apartments. I mean, basically, it's white. If somebody asks me, you want to paint it, you paint it, and I'll supply you what the color is that you need to repaint when you're done. Why did they paint everything black? I literally, everything. I walked in there, and the walls and they were black.
My college roommate did that. The rest of the house was normal. He paints his room, walls and ceiling black. And I was just kind of like, and I can't imagine how many coats of paint it takes to get it back to white.
Well, that's what those security deposits are. Welcome back. We appreciate you being here on the 7th of July, 8:50 a.m. Quick forecast. Temperature is going to be about 93 today. Tomorrow, much the same. Both days, 40% chance of rain and high heat index. So please keep that in mind. And we welcome you back to the Affordable Housing Matters. You can make a difference in what has become an affordable housing crisis in our county. Our workforce, ranging from teachers to first responders, restaurant workers, are not able to find decent and safe affordable housing in one of the most prosperous counties in the state. The elderly and local businesses are also suffering. Now, here's how you can help. If you have property or land, contact the nonprofit St. John's Housing Partnership. If you are not in a position to donate for affordable housing, SJHP can possibly purchase and build affordable housing for community members. You can also make a cash donation or bequeath a gift. SJHP can give you further information about the tax and financial benefits of these and other gifting methods. Visit www.sjhp.org. And now, back to Bill Lazar and Mike Bonts. Gentlemen?
Thank you, Larry. Last month, we're making a transition here from talking about weatherization, energy efficiency, to solar. And last month, we had an event at Patriot Place here in St. Augustine, which is a great project for at-risk and homeless veterans. 6 residences that'll be available for people who need them, for these veterans. Talk first about the last solar event we had with Everybody Solar and how that came about.
And that was really neat because I had, the housing partnership will own Patriot Place. We'll be the landlord, we'll rent it out. And, one of the things that people don't always think about is a landlord's job is just to give you a place to live, decent, safe, and sanitary, that has functioning heating and air and hot and cold running water. They're not necessarily concerned about how energy efficient it is. And in some cases, if you've got a 50-year-old AC, as long as it runs cold, it may be a $400 a month light bill, but it runs. And Patriot Place, we know that the folks renting from us will be of limited income. And so I wanted to do something that reduced the bill. So we designed it with our green building certification. We designed it where it will be very energy efficient, where the units will probably have an electric bill of less than $75 or $80 a month. But we found a partnership with Everybody Solar, which is another nonprofit that works around the United States, trying to bring solar energy projects to nonprofits in their missions. And so we partnered with them, and they actually helped us get a grant to install PV panels on Patriot Place that'll cover the top 3 apartment units, and we put solar panels on our building at 525 West King Street.
So this event brought everyone together from the solar community and also the people who helped you put together Patriot Place.
And that's, that was kind of the neat part, is it was designed to sort of show everybody how Synergy is the solar company that put it on. Jinko is a large manufacturing company up in Jacksonville. They donated the panels. Everybody Solar raised enough of the other money so that the entire cost, which was about $45,000 or $50,000, was donated. So it didn't cost us anything for Patriot Place to make it more energy efficient. But for the next 25 or 30 years, those panels will keep helping the veterans that live there.
The solar industry has gone through sort of an evolution, but you've been involved in solar for a while, so you've kind of seen it go through these stages. And where is it now?
We still live in the Sunshine State. No matter what anyone says, we got more sunshine here than most places. We don't take enough advantage of it. And a large part is, I think that's got to do with legislation and utility lobbyists and everything else. But, the more people look at it, the more that you think over time, okay, what's going to help me in terms of reducing my energy footprint? And I just say that, from the point of view that no one gets excited about paying a utility bill. I mean, if you can pay less of a utility bill, that's great. I think what people have to be careful about is some of the solar products that are being sold by companies that don't really explain to you that they're just a middleman. They're financing it, and they're going to put a lien on your property. You'll have a second mortgage on your property for 30, 40 years, paying essentially the same amount for your utility bill you're paying for the panels. So what's exciting now is I think there are new solar tax incentives to try and help people, finance that, get a rebate from it. And over the course of time, it's just like with water conservation. If you can reduce the energy demand, some of the utility companies don't have to plan as much for large capital improvements. And that, at the end of the day, I think, you look at Florida, you look how hot it is now and how hot it stays most of the year. Everybody's running their AC almost every month with the exception of maybe part of November and December. So that demand, that consumption is huge. And if we can just get some people to reduce their impact, it really does make a big difference collectively when you have these rolling brownouts and everything else, that, you've got some people that are off the grid that aren't pulling down that energy at the same time as everybody else is when they get home and crank up the AC at, 5 o'clock.
So that'll make a real difference at Patriot Place.
Patriot Place, I think it'll be really significant there simply because it helps us reduce the overall cost. Because we're still going to be dealing with folks in some cases who are living on less than $1,000 a month. So even a $100 a month electric bill is pretty big for someone on that kind of an income. So doing something like that to help those veterans out, and the fact that it will be there helping them for the next 25 years is really huge.
Another phase of Patriot Place that I know you're proud of is you've begun the landscaping using Florida friendly plants, and you've had some help in that. How's that coming?
That's great. We're about 2/3 done with the landscaping. We got a grant from the Northeast Florida Association of Realtors. They donated money to help buy all the landscaping. We had both master gardeners from the University of Florida's IFAS Master Gardener Program. We had 3 or 4, 5 or 6 maybe, of the master gardeners come out, and they partnered with Michael Corfage, who is a young Eagle Scout, Boy Scout, from Pedro Menendez. Michael's doing an Eagle Scout project with us, so he has been recruiting his peers to come out and physically do the landscape planting, and the master gardeners have kind of helped them put the right plant in the right place, get it. Because all Bill knows about green building, as far as landscape, is it's green or it's brown. But the master gardeners get it at the right height, help us figure out what we have to do, for those plants to eventually be able to survive without an entire irrigation system.
Yeah, it's really coming along, and you're getting into the final phase of that.
Yep, we're hoping that we will be done and everybody will be ready to move in by the end of the month.
Well, I'll wrap up by talking about the St. John's Housing Partnership's 25th anniversary this year.
Yep.
You've been around for a while. So, and the projects you work on, the new projects especially, are all certified green by the Florida Green Building Coalition. Yep. Real quickly, what's the thinking behind that?
For me, it's really two-part. Green building is as much about sustainability as anything else, and a big part of affordable housing is you're doing things with limited resources. So the more we can do to make something low maintenance, use less energy, use less water, the smarter it is. It's better for us, better for our tenants. The homes that we sell to local families, those are energy efficient, those are green certified homes, so their utility bills and their water bills will be a little bit less than the average home.
Larry?
Oh, sure, blame me. No, listen, and I'm just going to remind folks, with your permission, that the information that's being presented here, a lot of it is available really easily. All you have to do is do what I'm doing right now. Go to sjhp.org. sjhp.org. And you've got all kinds of information, but there's even one that says contact us. So if you have any questions, I'm guessing, right, exactly, right? I mean, you guys will give them information.
Yep, they can call us at 824-0902.
I can't believe you remembered that. That's amazing. And listen, this has been First Friday Affordable Housing Matters, a program on housing issues presented by WFOY and produced in cooperation with the St. John's Housing Partnership. Join us again on Friday, August 4th at 8:30 a.m. Chris Plant Show next this afternoon. Dan Bongino. Thanks and have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, guys. Well done. Yeah, I mean, he's good. We don't ever tell him he's good. Okay, we don't want anything going that far in the current climate, okay?
2.1 FM, W271 CJ, St. Augustine, Florida, and AM 1240, WFOY
We're all good. You done with
St.
Facebook?
Augustine,
We're all good. I'm going to punch a little button here on the Facebook folk, and thank you all for paying attention. We appreciate it. This will be on the WFOY Radio St. Augustine Facebook page, and you can see it, and please share it with your friends because there's a lot of important information here. Have a great weekend.
Were added last month, so
All right. Thank